Hey, how's it going, everybody? Victor here, and I'm finally at my new home. The neighborhood is not as good as my old one, but at least now I get to have my own room for the computer and the network equipment, all that stuff. So as you may have noticed, I put up a webcam, and the reason is because I'm gonna shoot some voice videos, and I want to be able to show you like the phone registration process and all that kind of stuff. Um, so this is what we're gonna be talking about today. And what I did here is that I grabbed some of the titles of the first few pages of my little notebook that I used to study for voice when I was gonna take my certification. So so yeah, we have digital connections. Uh, Pretty much what you need to know is that we have two different kinds of digital connections: the T1 and the E1 lines, and here are the kilobits per second, the number of channels that each one has. So then we have the signaling, and pretty much we have two different kinds of signaling: the channel associated signaling and the common channel signaling. So pretty much the difference between the two is that in one you send the signaling on the same bandwidth of the voice or the actual traffic, and then on CCS what we do is that we send the signaling over in a dedicated channel. So that's pretty much what you need to know on this part. And then, so when it comes to PBX, a lot of companies still have PBX systems on their infrastructure. So the line cards on the PBX, they're used to connect to between local phones, and then the trunk cards, they allow you to connect to the they they connect the PBX and the PSTN, or the public switch telephone network, or um, so yeah, and also you can do PBX to PBX with a trunk card. Um, After that, we have the foreign, and these are two different kinds of ports. Basically, what you do, or what you're gonna have is on your router, you're gonna have FXS or FXO cards. So the foreign exchange station is used to connect to endpoints, or basically old phones, um, RJ with the RJ11 connector, and then the FXO, or the Foreign Exchange Office, is what allows you to connect to the access the trunk to connect to the public switch network or to a PBX. Um, what else we have? We have DSP, um, or digital signaling process, and these are memories or slots that convert or encode or decode voice signals in your router. So like if I have a router, in my router I have a DSP memory or slot, and I use it. Basically, the router is gonna use it to translate whatever comes from the public switch telephone network into my voice over IP infrastructure, and so that's what the router is gonna use the card for. And after that, we have Rtp and Rtcp, and so Rtp is sits at a transport layer above the UDP, and basically it's a protocol that adds timestamps and sequence numbers to the voice traffic, and all the port numbers are even ports or even numbers. And then RTCP, it basically handles the packet count, packet delay, packet loss, and jitter. Um, so when it comes to voice over IP, instead of having this kind of signaling protocols, what we have is SCCP or SIP. Or well, these are the two most popular. And basically, SCCP is Cisco proprietary, and SIP is you can think of SIP as the global or the open protocol. And a lot of Cisco phones or the new phones now also support SIP. Um, and well, basically that's because it's used everywhere. And so down here we have the these are basically the different Cisco products or the Cisco solutions to the to voice implementations. The one that we're gonna be working on today is the CME, or the Call Manager Express. And let me well Yeah, so we're gonna be working on CME, and then maybe at some of the videos we'll work on CUCN, and then from there, I'm not sure that we're gonna be talking about or we're gonna be hitting CUE or Cisco Unity Express, Cisco Unity Connection. Pretty much this one allows you to set up mailboxes in your um, different extensions. So let's see. We're gonna be looking at the different or the difference between the an operating config and the setting config, and when it comes to Cisco phones. And don't know if we're gonna be talking about digit manipulation and translation profiles, maybe some quality of service, but okay. So let me just drag this and alright, so what we're gonna do first is that I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna walk you through the registration process of some Cisco phones, and then we're also gonna do it on a SIP phone that I have right here, the X Lite. Okay, so first thing you want to do is that we're gonna, I'm gonna show you how to set up the Dhcp server so the phones can grab an IP and the TFTP server and all that stuff. So do show run bisection Dhcp. Okay, and as you can see here, I have my where is it? Voice. This is my voice pool, and this is pretty much what you're gonna have, or where you're gonna want to have. And the default router is obviously the IP of the router's interface. And then what's worth mentioning here is the option 150. And basically, the option 150 is it gives the end stations that are gonna grab an IP from this particular pool. With the option 150, you give them a TFTP server that they can pull files from, or just put files or get files. So this IP right here is the one on my computer because I'm gonna be using my local host as the TFTP server. And let me just double check that IP. Yeah. Okay. So let me see. All right. So first thing we're gonna do is that we're gonna enable the ports on my switch, and let me just go ahead and show you our setup. And oops. All right. So this is what we're gonna have. I have my Cisco phone right here, and I have another one right here. Okay. So this is my 2821 router and 3560 switch, which has power over Ethernet, and we're gonna use it to power up our phones. And I have them connected to um, switch port number 13 and 14, I believe. And so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna power them on, and let me just see where I can put my uh, webcam. Okay, so and we're gonna go to interface 0 and say no shot and switch port, and as you can notice the phone just power up. Switch port mode access and switch port access VLAN 20, which is my voice VLAN. And let's do a spanning tree port fast. Okay, and then the same on the other phone. Switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 20, and spanning tree port fast and no shot. And just power up. Okay, so alright, so now let's go back to the router and go under the telephone services. um, mode. Oh, first I forgot to tell you about the different. See, let me see if I have it here. Yes. Okay. So before you do anything, you need to make sure that your iOS supports the CME version that it has installed on it, or that you're gonna install on it. And well, pretty much CME or the Call Manager Express is a built-in feature in the Cisco iOS that allows you to set up SIP phones and SCCP phones and um, all that kind of stuff. So if you wish to install a GUI, which we're not gonna be doing today, you need to make sure that you're using the right version. You can just go to this site right here. It tells you all about the compatibility of the um, different product or the different versions. So, all right. So we're gonna go under telephony services, and we're gonna set a maximum number of ePhones. We're gonna say just 10, and then maximum number of DNs or directory numbers. We're gonna say 10. All right. So let me. All right. So um, we're gonna set the source or the IP source address, and so this IP is gonna be the router's interface. So 192.168.10.20.1. Okay. And all right. So let me just show you now because we're gonna be using our. Let me see. Where do I have it? Okay, it's right here. Um, so these are two different commands that you might wanna use on the telephone services mode, and well, pretty much the the CNE file location, or you know what? Before that, we need to talk about the. Let me. Well, pretty much the load command is the one that we're gonna use to load the firmware version of the different Cisco phones that we wanna connect or that we wanna register. And then the CNF file location, basically, what it says here is that enhances the automatically created TFTP bindings for phone firmware files. If the CNF file location command is configured with the flash or slot 0 keyword. You are no longer required to configure the TFTP server command to create TFTP bindings only if the location of the CNF files is router flash or slot 0 memory. If the CNF file location command is configured for something other than flash or slot 0, such as the TFTP server, you must still configure the TFTP server command to create TFTP bindings. So, what that means is that because we're gonna be using our TFTP server for the phones to grab the firmware files, we're gonna have to specify a CNF file location so the phones can know where to grab the the firmware files from. So we're gonna say CNF CNF file location. It's gonna be a TFTP, and it's TFTP 192.168.10.101. Okay, and let me show you. Oops. Oh yeah. Or no, it's right here. Okay. So this is my TFTP server, and these are the files that I have. If you see, all these XML files are pretty much it's the configuration of the phones, but it's not the firmware. So um, the firmware for the particular phone that we're gonna be using are these four files that I have here, and you can find all these files of the name of them uh, at the Cisco um, at the Cisco website. And so yeah, so we say CNF file location TFTP, and if we look at our phones, they already registered with the Cisco router. So let me you know what? Because I wanna we go under settings and say network config, and I don't know if you can see it's grabbed the 20. Well, the DHCP server is the 20.1, which is my router's IP. I don't know if you can see it here, maybe here. And then the IP of this particular phone is 20.6. So, alright, so if you see now, we don't have any. Okay, we don't have any lines on these buttons of the phone. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna create some DNs or directory numbers, and then we're gonna assign them to these two phones. And so, um, before I do that, let me do term launcher. Okay, because we should have received a syslog message saying that this phone has just registered. Or let me do show, or go back, show ephone register. Okay, so as you can see, we have two phones that have successfully registered to the router, ephone 1 and 2, and these are the two MAC addresses of the phones. And okay, so if we go under ephone 1 or ephone DN, and we're gonna say DN1, we're gonna say number 101. Alright, sorry about that. Um, and where were we? So, okay, so number 101 for the directory number 1, and then go back, if found directory number 2, and say number 102. These are the two directory numbers, or the two lines that we're gonna give to the ephone 1, and then exit ephone dn2. We're gonna say number 201, and then exit ephone dn3, or oh, did I just, yeah, um, ephone dn2 number 102, exit ephone dn3 number 201, and then exit out of here, ephone dn4 number 202. Okay, alright, so now let's go to ephone 1 and say, um, so as you can see, we have a bunch of options here, but for now we're just gonna give the phones some directory numbers or some lines just so they can call each other. And so we're gonna say button, and if you see here, basically tells you, where is it? Okay, so basically we're gonna say the bottom number 1, or the first one from top down, is gonna be associated to the directory number 1, and then for button 2 we're gonna say directory number 2, or okay, sorry, 2. Okay, and let me that should be, let me see, do show ephone register. Ephone 1 is the MAC is 20.6, which is Okay, is the one on the right. So basically we have two different ways to reset or restart the phones, and one is reset and the other one is restart. So if we say restart, the phone is just gonna unregister and register back up. Now if we say reset, the phone is gonna basically it's gonna turn off and on. So we're just gonna say restart, and you should be able to see the two DENs appearing on the two buttons, and there they are. Okay. So now we're gonna do the same for the other phone, and we're gonna be able to call each other. So um, we're gonna say bphone 2 and button 1 directory number 3 and button 2 directory number 4, and we're gonna say a restart. Okay, so now if I'm calling, if you see this phone has the directory numbers 201 and 202. If I go ahead and call 101, so well that's basically uh, end call. Okay. So yeah, that's basically how that's gonna work. And what we're gonna do now is that we're gonna do the same for the this zip phone that I have here. And for that, we need to go on the exit out of here, and I'm gonna cheat a little here. I have the because I don't remember quite well how the um okay, so as you can see here, the the previous config that we just did was under telephone service mode. So when it comes to, and basically all your Cisco phone configs or whatever is in SCCP protocol, you're gonna use it. You're gonna do it under the telephone service mode. And when it comes to SIP, you need to go on the global register, voice register global mode. And so let me just okay. So we're gonna go into voice register global, and we're gonna say it's gonna be mode CME. Then after that, the source address is the same as the one that we used on the telephone services. The IP source address, in this case, is the same 192, or actually is yeah, because I'm using my the this zip phone, the X Live phone, or cell phone is in my computer, and I'm gonna be using the nick in my VLAN 10, because the other nick that I have in this computer is in VLAN 100 for the for my ESXi server and all that kind of stuff. Um, so I'm gonna say 10.1, and then this is the same that you just saw on their telephone services. The max directory numbers, we're gonna say 10, and max pool. The pool is the same as saying the ePhone. I don't know, I heard the sound. It's same as saying the max number of ePhones. I keep hearing that. So we're gonna say 10 again. Okay. Authenticate register is basically we're saying that in order um, for phone to register, it's gonna have to authenticate, and the TFTP path that we're not even gonna be using, but let's just say 101 and create profile sync or create profile. Okay. All right. So um, we also forgot to say voice service, voice over IP, and say allow connections 323 to SIP, allow connections SIP to H323, and allow connections SIP to SIP. Okay. So now let's go ahead and configure the voice register DN1, the excuse me, the directory number. And so we're gonna say number is gonna be 301, and allow watch. Well, we don't need that. We're gonna say name Penny and label is Penny, and then that's for the that's basically the line that I'm gonna use for the X-Lite cell phone. And then voice register pool one, and pool one, like I said, is the actual phone or the e-phone, or in this case the SIP cell phone. So do we need the MAC address? I don't think we need it. Let's say number one DN1, and or voice register DN1 number one. Yes, okay. And alright, so let's say username is again Penny, and the password we're gonna use ASD123. Let me just grab put it here. Um, and what else? We don't need the. Please configure voice register pool ID first. Oh, okay. So we do need the ID. The MAC, I believe that's the MAC of my um, the physical NIC. So that'll be the MAC in your uh, computer's NIC or the network card. So, and then let's say username, Penny, password AC123. Okay. So after we do that, go on the cell phone account settings, and so well, at least when it comes to X-Lite cell phone, the important thing is that on the user ID you need to set the directory number that you use, which is not 3001, it's 301, and the domain, which is the IP of the router, is 10.1, the password, and under the authorization name we're gonna put the username we just set here. Okay, so you say okay, and that should register the cell phone or not. Okay, let's see what's going on here. I think we forgot to. Oh, yes. So I believe we're missing the voice register, wait, or voice service, voice over IP, and then SIP. Then under SIP, we're gonna say registrar server expires, and just to give some values to this, or expire max. Okay, and I believe that's just to enable the SIP registration. If you don't do that, basically it's not gonna have any default values. So click retry. Hmm. Okay, let's see. Am I using AC123? Hmm. Let's see. Voice register pool 1, or let's do show run voice register. Let's do show section voice register. And let's see what we have. We have global mode CME port 5060. 1301. Oh, oh, okay. We forgot to set the number for the. So if you see on the voice register pool one, that will be my cell phone, and I just set the ID MAC and the username and password. I didn't set I didn't associate the directory number to the particular pool or the ephone. So we're gonna say number one, DN1, or okay, and exit. And let's see the X slide. Okay, so I'm using 301 for this um, cell phone. So now, if I dial from my cell phone um, to yeah 201, failed to establish call. Okay, let's try from here. Let's say 301 and dial. Okay, so that's working. I wonder why. And call. Let's see. 101. Alright, so obviously we have a problem here because I'm able to call from the Cisco phones to the soft phone, but not the other way around. Let me just make sure and dial from this one, and it's 301. Okay, yeah, so that works. And just one more time to the other Cisco phone, and yes. Alright. Okay, so let me just check do show run and by section voice. We said SIP to H323, and maybe could be something about the codec. I'm not sure. I don't think that is, but just to be sure, voice register pool one or codec ULA. Oops, sorry, it's G711 ULA and exit. I don't know. Let's just fuck this and 301. Okay, there we go. Uh, Alright. So yeah, turned out to be the codec thing. So well, that's pretty much how you go and set register the uh, Cisco phones and some SIP phones, or at least the X Lite soft phone. Um, the plans for later is that I might go and set up the CUCN or the um, Cisco Unified Communications Manager, and from there I'll show you how to set all this stuff up in the same CUCM, and then um, we might also install the CUC and set some mailboxes for the extensions. But well, if I decide to go forward with this series of voice, well, we will have a long way to go. So but I'm still not sure whether do it or not. So if I also have here some QoS stuff, and well, basically the difference between integrated services and differentiated services. Obviously, this is the one that we're gonna be using, and uh, well, all I can say is if you want me to give you, or if you want me to send you some of this material, I also have a bunch of stuff on my Google Drive and that I can share with you. Um, oops. Um, so well, I'm open to comments or any material suggestions. So just hit me up. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.